Peace, peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, Hotep. This is just a brief health update to those of you that were recently eating those Morel mushrooms. You want to be conscious of the fact that when you read How to Eat to Live Book 1 and How to Eat to Live Book 2, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad never recommends that the FOI and MGT eat mushrooms. And when you do the math or the science, and our lessons teaches us to study the sciences of life, basically mushrooms are fungus. For the past 40 years, I've been warning our people you have to be careful with mushrooms. Now, one of the wise things that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad did was he pointed out to us that in How to Eat to Live, 1967 and 1972, that, if there's basically something in How to Eat to Live that's not covered, you should write to him for additional information. And that's a good way of doing it, because you gotta remember, there's countless foods on the market. There's untold things on the planet Earth that contain poisons, but every poison can be a medicine. But anytime you see something like mushrooms growing out of dead things, like when a tree dies, mushrooms eat the dead bacteria inside that tree. If a dead human, a dead vegetable, a dead animal, a dead whatever. That's where mushrooms thrive at. They thrive off of death. So you have to be mindful, okay, should I take something like that and put it in my body? Now, in the classification of cocaine and heroin and synthetic drugs and other toxins, you'll find mushrooms, because some people go out and pick a vegetable, pick a mushroom, and they'll eat the mushroom just to get intoxicated. So there are mushrooms that'll get you high. There are mushrooms that'll get your children high. There are mushrooms that if you eat them, it'll physically kill you that day. So as for Muhammad and his infinite wisdom would never generalize a food, like that. Be like, eat mushrooms. Black people be running out, picking mushrooms, growing mushrooms, dropping dead all over the planet Earth. So that does not negate the medicinal value of a mushroom. You have other scholars, like say Dr. Sebi, that recommend we eat mushrooms or whatever. But I personally never really liked mushrooms. Just I can't say the taste, it's just the idea of certain things. I never, even as a child, I never tasted chitlins, not because pork ain't good for us, because I ate pork when I was a child. I would never eat chitlins because of the idea. These are what Malcolm X called pig guts. My mother used to like chitlins, but I would smell her cooking the chitlins. And even as a young child, I was like, nah. She'd be like, taste them. Nah. I had a childhood girlfriend, Stephanie Collier. She was like, just taste it. I'm not even tasting that. Nah, I'm good. It's just certain things. I never taste liver. I never taste chicken gizzards, mayonnaise. It's just certain stuff that I just psychologically, my DNA would just rebel against it. And one of those things were mushrooms. My mom used to put mushrooms in her spaghetti. And my mom made delicious homemade spaghetti. I don't think it was that healthy, because she used the white pasta. She would put her beef in there, the sauce, the vegetables, the peppers, whatever. But she would put some mushrooms in there. And when she make the homemade spaghetti, she's saying that I literally love homemade spaghetti, but I would not eat homemade spaghetti with mushrooms, or I would literally be sitting there all day taking the mushrooms out. I mean, and then eat the spaghetti. So what she did was she literally just stopped putting mushrooms in our homemade spaghetti because she said that I wouldn't eat it if it had mushrooms in it. And I mean, but unfortunately, I mean, condolences to all those that's suffering right now. There's a lot of families out here in Philadelphia that's getting sick, and 2 people just physically died from eating these some raw mushrooms. You know what I mean? So the health department is sending out a warning, and I'm gonna share with y'all a little brief news report about these mushrooms. Be careful with these mushrooms. You know what I mean? Pick up how to eat to live and stick with the basics. You know what I mean? The message said, leave my teachings as it is.
People who forage for morel mushrooms will tell you it's more like a treasure hunt. That's our first morel for the day, guys.
They're a delicacy, and I think part of the excitement of them is that they're not as easily cultivatable.
That's why the mushrooms can set you back up to $50 a pound.
You see that big morel or big patch morels, you're like, it takes your breath away a little bit.
But this year, a different kind of alarm after an outbreak of illness connected to the delicacies at a Bozeman, Montana sushi restaurant killed 2 people.
And we are all so beside ourselves to think that people could have gotten sick and died as a result of what they ate at Dave's Sushi, regardless and no matter the circumstances.
The FDA and CDC helped the local and state health departments investigate. Their investigation found 51 people became sick after eating cultivated morel mushrooms at the restaurant in March and April. 3 people were hospitalized, 2 people died. A newly released report says 6 restaurants in other states served morels from the same importer without reports of anyone getting sick. What stands out, the Montana restaurant served them raw or lightly cooked.
We've known for a long time that morels need to be cooked in order to be safely eaten and cooked thoroughly.
Heather Holland-Adams is a food science professor at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. She's also the toxicology chair for the North American Mycological Association. She was at first surprised the Montana outbreak was blamed on morels.
The kind of new and different thing about this case is the severity of the symptoms and the quickness. It sounds like several of these people had severe gastrointestinal symptoms within 20 to 30 minutes of ingestion. That has not been documented before.
The FDA says morels are generally safe to eat, but may contain toxins that can cause health problems. The specific toxin in these morels is still unknown.
Mushrooms make their living by secreting digestive enzymes, breaking down a substrate and absorbing it, and you definitely don't want your mushroom to be trying to digest you while you're trying to digest it.
That's why the FDA's report says anyone eating, selling, or serving morels or other wild mushrooms should use caution and keep them refrigerated. It updated its website to say consumers should eat morels and other wild mushrooms at their own risk, adding there's no guarantee of safety even when cooked.
Attention break.
But if you do eat wild mushrooms, experts like Professor Holland-Adams say cooking them is crucial.
Just cook the things and cook them fairly thoroughly. We recommend that with all mushrooms anyway.
And if you plan on ordering morels from a restaurant, ask how they're prepared first. Maritza Giorgio, Scripps News, Missoula, Montana.